Welcome to question 5 of the 2018 Mathematical Methods Exam 1 for the Northern Hemisphere. In this video we will be looking at the solution for this question. A reminder that this video is in no way endorsed by VCAA. For question 5 we have let h be the function with the domain real positives union with 0, with h of x equaling 7 divided by x plus 2, subtract 3 as the rule. For part A we're asked to state the range of h. And the range of h is going to be affected by the domain, which is the reals positive union with 0. So to help answer this question, we're going to sketch a quick graph of the function h. So if the function wasn't restricted, it would have a asymptote at x equals -2, so that's when the denominator cannot equal 0. So that would give x equals -2 as this asymptote. And the -3 out here would tell us that the horizontal asymptote occurs at y equals -3. And if this wasn't restricted, we'd have a graph that looks something like this occurring. However, there is a restriction on the domain, which means that we're only going to have positive numbers and 0. So this point's going to be included, and all of this part of the graph, but none of the graph that's on the negative side of the y-axis. So our job now is to find the value of that y-intercept, and the y-intercept we know is when x equals 0 in our rule. So we're going to have h of 0 is equal to 7 divided by 0 plus 2 subtract 3. And now simplifying that down, we'd have 7 divided by 2 subtract 3, which is simply equal to a half. So this coordinate of the y-intercept would be 0, a half. So now that we've got all of that information, we know that the range of this function, which is what this question is asking for, is going to be equal to the smallest value that y takes on, which is almost -3, so we write that as round bracket -3, until positive a half with a square bracket, because that value there at 0 is included. So that is the answer for part A of this question. For part B, we're asked to find the rule for the inverse function. So to help us find the rule for the inverse function, the first thing we're going to do is let y equal the function h of x. So therefore, we simply have y equals 7 divided by x plus 2 subtract 3. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to swap the variables x and y to find the inverse. So therefore our rule becomes x equals 7 divided by y plus 2 subtract 3. And now we're going to solve for y to find the rule. So we'll start by adding 3 to both sides of this equation, which will give us x plus 3 is equal to 7 divided by y plus 2. And now if we multiply both sides by y plus 2, we find that y plus 2 multiplied by x plus 3 must equal 7. And now we can divide both sides by x plus 3 to give y plus 2 is equal to 7 divided by x plus 3. And then we can subtract 2 from both sides to get y by itself. And as part of this final step, we're going to express the inverse with correct notation. So we find that h -1, or the inverse of x, is equal to 7 divided by x plus 3 subtract 2. So that is the rule for the inverse function, which is what we were asked to find for this question.